Hello, everybody. Thanks for being here. Oh my gosh, what a week. This has been a lot. I get really excited to teach StoryBrand. For those of you that don't know, I was recently certified. Awesome. Audio's working. Please say hello. You can hear and see me okay. Inner Spirit Photography from Calgary. Mark, thanks for being here. Let's see. Richard, you're here. Yes, I got your site queued up to review it. You're one of the first people. Richard Rosario, thanks for being here, buddy. Nancy Miller, thanks for being here. All right. Big deep breaths. Thanks, buddy. So yeah, what this allows me to do as a certified guide is to teach this really awesome workshop. The first time I saw this presentation, man, years ago, and read the book. Do that, guys. Tell me, have you read the book? Have you read Building a Story Brand? Yes or no? Good to see you guys. Okay, my iPad crashed 5 minutes ago, and school was let out a week early because of the heat here in Minnesota. So my kids are occupied. Hopefully, a little frazzled. I have to just get that out there, take some deep breaths, and focus on this next hour and giving you guys something that I'm just beyond passionate about. I get really emotional when I talk about marketing and how when photographers get it right, it's not only changing for the business, it really can be life-changing personally also. When you finally start hitting that plug where it like connects and your clients and strangers are understanding you and understanding your website and understanding your marketing, and it results in just not only profit, but just the sense of flow. Okay, lots of people. Richard said he's read the book on audio 10 times. I love it. I learn something new every single time. So over the last 10 years, many of you guys know, I was a photographer who founded Sticky. And I've discovered something, is that most photographers waste an enormous amount of time and money on marketing. That's the bad news, right? That's what keeps me up at night. Don't worry. Don't be embarrassed. Guys, this is most business owners, most small business owners, in big ones too, are wasting an enormous amount of money on marketing. And today we're going to talk about websites, because this seems to be a place that most photographers put a lot of time and energy, kind of doing and redoing over and over again, and hoping to get it right. And this is where I want to help. I want to start, and then we can talk about other places we can go later. So I asked you guys when you registered, is your website working? And I'm curious, we could go on and on about how to define whether or not a website's working or not. But frankly, you guys gave it a score on average. Over 100 of you answered and said that you're giving it, some of you are high, some are low, some in the zeros, but on average, it's about a 4. And I think that's pretty accurate. And I applaud your honesty. I applaud you for being here and being willing to tackle this. And so many of you asked for feedback. I'm going to get to as many of you as I can. My goal is to give you a framework so that you can start implementing the feedback I'm giving. So the biggest challenge here is that it's easy to go like hire Squarespace or Wix or all these big sites, and you get this like good looking site that doesn't mean anything, right? It's just clear. It's just pretty, but pretty doesn't work. And I'm going to talk more about this at the end, but I think that it's worth noting first that how much I empathize with photographers and small business owners with there's millions of dollars of ads being ran, Super Bowl ads from Squarespace and Wix and superstars and Dolly Parton and Keanu Reeves and all these people saying, look how easy it is to build a website. And there's this false promise and expectation now in our culture that you should be able to create your own website that makes you money. And the reality is, some of these tools are simple, relatively speaking. You don't have to code your own website like you had to 10 years ago, but they're still tricky. And what they're not addressing is that they help you create something that's pretty, but guys, pretty doesn't work in the sense of turning a stranger into a lead or a stranger into a client. And people are only going to book with you after they read words that make them want to book with you. The words are the part that matter. The words can be the hardest part. And while we're bombarded with all of these cool, simple ways to make a pretty site, that doesn't actually help you book your website. This is a sample where people visiting don't understand. It's too vague. It doesn't make any sense. It's pretty. It's gorgeous, but it doesn't actually work. So here's one of my favorite examples. Megan DePiro, many of you guys know, she recently hired a StoryBrand certified guide in her city and invested to have her website redone using the StoryBrand framework. And I'm going to use her example a few times today as a place to kind of anchor back. But you can see it's very clear. Look your best every time. You deserve photos that make you feel beautiful and proud. Versus, if we go back to here, how often do we use, as business owners, as photographers, these vague words that don't really mean anything? They're not clear immediately to a website visitor. So words matter, all right? And it wasn't until I read this book years ago that I finally started to have the confidence myself that I could actually write. And I'm right there with you. When I first started my photography business and my website, let's see, early 2000s or mid 2000s, I was booking new clients despite my terrible website. And I think that a lot of photographers, even, I'll go so far, even some of the big giant names, who, whether you're trying to build it on yourself and there's no words that make sense, or you've hired a $10,000 designer, and there's a lot of premier photographers out there who have dropped that much money on a website that still isn't clear, because we as designers, as photographers, we're not copywriters, all right? And so using this framework, it finally lets us start to get closer to writing words on our websites that matter, okay? Clarity matters. Let's use one example about how important clarity and words are in our marketing. Does anybody remember the Microsoft Zune versus the iPod? When our iPod first came out, many people don't even know what this is. In so many ways, this was a superior product. You guys, it had a radio, an HD radio tuner, had more data, more storage, bigger screen. It was cheaper. You could beam your song. If somebody else had a Zune, you could beam that song to your buddy listening on a Zune, right? All of the feature list goes on and on and on. It was a superior product, but its marketing wasn't clear and it didn't resonate with its audience. We all know these classic advertisements that Apple ran, 1,000 songs in your pocket. And it's a story solving a problem specific to the consumer, right? Versus portable perfection. Like, what does that mean? It's not speaking to me. It's not speaking to anybody. It's not clear what it is and how it's better. So guys, when you confuse, you lose. And this applies to photography as well. A consumer is going to choose a photographer whose work may not be as strong as yours, or who's newer, or whatever that might be. That's not the difference maker. We all know that. It's the photographer who communicates the clearest and simplest, right? I love it. Burnett, love the Zoom. All right. So let me quick level set before I dig in. Today we're talking about the StoryBrand framework, but this also helps us process reworking our websites, because I think in our industry, one of the biggest issues is we're trying to do too much on our website. We'll talk about why that's such a problem. But if we split it out, when the StoryBrand book came out first, and the process I'm going to teach you today, it's really designed to help you get like a clear message, like a one-liner. How do you speak and just really quickly about your business? How do you put that on your website? And when we're trying to get the booking and the sale and communicate so many things on the website, it just can't do that job. But so much of what his second book teaches is it's a funnel. It's a step, a process, right? Where the website's only job is to get you a lead, to start the conversation, and then to build a lead generator, a nurture campaign, a sales campaign, other marketing funnels that do the rest of the job. So when we're talking about how to simplify our website, a lot of it means we can take some of the fluff, some of the fat off of our website and save it for other tactics. We're going to talk mostly about this one today. Okay, lastly, this is one of my best new analogies for understanding what your online marketing's job is. Many of you I've talked to know that when you get somebody face-to-face, in person, to talk to them, they get it. They understand you. They understand what you do and why it's valuable. So if only your marketing could just get you more face-to-face meetings, right? That would be great, because then you can close the deal. Now, there's some of this framework I'm going to teach you today does apply to being even better in person. But I think the most important part is when we're in person, it's easier to get better at that naturally. We've evolved to be good communicators face to face. We can listen to each other's tone. We can look at each other's body language. But online, when we get that wrong, we don't get any feedback other than poof, ghost, they're gone. You don't know that. You don't know that your online words aren't working because you're not getting to see that facial reaction. Okay, so the website's job is not to get the booking. A lot of times we put so much information on our websites over the years that it's almost like as if we're trying to have them place an order for prints, like right there on the page. That is the end of the conversation. The goal of a website and your online marketing is to convince strangers that you are worth talking to. All right. So now I always like grounding the marketing we're building in-person analogy. So imagine like you're at a networking event like this, and whatever is you're wearing, whatever you said on stage, we were talking before, all of those things are designed, maybe getting referrals from friends saying, oh, you got to go talk to so-and-so. You're into this, you got to talk to so-and-so. All of that is that's been around for millennia. We've all evolved to share and trade and refer knowledge that way. And all of a sudden we try to do this stuff online and it breaks. But the goal of your website and your marketing is to convince people to walk across the room and say hello. That's it. That's all it's designed to do. We want to convince people that you are worth talking to. The same way that what you're wearing and your clothes, how you carry yourself, how you speak, your referrals, your references, all of those things in person matter to convince people to talk to you in person. We want to look at what are the things you can do online that convince people to talk to you, to reach out and say, here's my email address, here's my phone number, let's learn more. So your website, guys, it's just the beginning of the conversation. It is not the end. And I think that alone, when we start to reframe the goal of your website, it's a lot easier to have it do its job, right? I think when we say at the very beginning, what's the score you would give your website? How is it working? Well, if its job is just to get you leads, it's a lot easier to hit that job, right? But we start piling too many jobs on top of this, like it's an employee, and the more jobs we give a website, the worse job it does any of them. All right. I love it. Okay. So let me know if this is resonating, guys, if that's a helpful analogy, that your online marketing's job is to get people to talk to you. So the reason why we need to learn this framework is it helps us understand how the brain works. And so the first job our brain does is to help us survive and thrive. And this is everybody's brains. Human brain is focusing on these two main jobs: to survive and thrive and to conserve calories. So number one, guys, if we were in person and you're meeting somebody for the first time and somebody walks across the room and says, "Hey, I'm so-and-so, blah, blah, blah." And you're like, "Oh, hey, I'm St. Paul, Minnesota's top award-winning portrait photographer specializing in weddings, families, high school, seniors, headshots, newborns, pets with over 15 years of experience. Nice to meet you." Like, no, we would never do that in person. And maybe you've seen somebody who talks too much about themselves before asking a question or before like listening and engaging and being real. Why do we do this on our websites, right? We're so excited to put awards in badges and vague speak that it doesn't resonate. We need to talk to people online the same way we intuitively talk to people in person. Like, we take a minute and we listen and we understand who they are. Based on who they are and the problems they have, we tell a story about how they fit into it, how you fit into their story. Number two, the brain's next job, and this is about survival also, right, is conserving calories. From the very beginning, we're not going to go walking for food and water for too far if there's no guarantee that it's there, right? And so taking time, this applies all the way back to marketing. If it's too confusing, if I have to work too hard to understand how you can help me, I'll check out. It's always working to save energy, right? And the brain is daydreaming like 20-30% of the time. If I go back here to this analogy here, guys, the problem with in person is people will stick around for social niceties. Like even if you're doing this, people will sit there, but they'll check out and they'll start brainstorming and thinking about other things, because we've got enough challenges threatening our survival, threatening our ability to thrive. And if somebody in front of us, or if we're stuck in a classroom or a presentation that isn't immediately making sense to us, it isn't clear on how it's going to help you survive and thrive, we'll check out. Our brain will go, "This isn't helping. I'm going to think about another problem." That's in person. Online, what do people do? As soon as they don't clearly understand how you're going to help them survive and thrive, and do it in a way that helps them save calories, they are gone. They ghost, right? They ghost the whole process. If they're looking at your pricing guide and it doesn't make sense to them, they ghost. They're not going to email you back. They're not going to ask questions. They say, "This doesn't make sense to me. I don't have the energy to understand this. Peace out." It's not because I don't like you. It's not because I'm going to a competitor. It's because I don't have the energy to make sense of it. Every time we give somebody an idea, whether it's in person or online, I want you to think about it like a 10-pound bowling ball. To our brains, each new idea, it really is that heavy, like a bowling ball with Vaseline on it. And so we hand people an idea on our website, and then we say, "Oh, I'm also a wedding photographer, and I do seniors and family sessions and pets. And here's how you place an order. There's 4 packages to choose from, and you can get metal prints, but the prices are different if you want this," right? And we keep adding all of these bowling balls of really big ideas on our website in a matter of seconds. The problem is, guys, when you give too many ideas on a website, if there's too much going on, they don't just drop one ball, do they? No, our brains drop all of them at once. And that is why you're getting ghosted. That is why your websites aren't working. So remember, our brains are daydreaming 30% of the time in person, and online, they're just going to ghost, right? I love it. Let's see, Joel, what do you have to say here? I've never had a website, mostly because I'm overwhelmed and not understood what my website needs to say. Wow, Joel, that's really great. I think it speaks a lot to how much I believe a lot of photographers are booking clients despite their website. It's very rare that I find a website that is actually helping. Like baseline is no website. I know a lot of photographers, Joel, that have been fine with just like a social media page for a while, because the early days, that's where most of your clients come from, is your current network of people who already know, like, and trust you. Creating a marketing piece online to do that, it's not easy. And so I think that really anchors this idea, Joel, that number one, it's not easy. Number two, it's not obvious. And most websites are just like, meh, they're not actually helping. So like I said, when you're in person with somebody, we can pick up on the fact that somebody's body language, like they're not, this isn't resonating. They're going to check out in a second. And you can switch gears and start explaining something slower, better, connecting it to them, etc., right? But online, you can't. And if you can confuse, you lose, period. And I know that this sometimes, I always, when I want to deliver this message, I'm really careful, because I want to be empathetic that how hard it is to do this work. And I know it's really tricky, knowing that, but on the flip side, it's empowering that the reason why people aren't reaching out to you, and the reason why it feels like your website's broken, is not because of your work, not because of the things that I think we're afraid of. We make up our own stories of why we're not getting bookings and inquiries. It's not any of those reasons. So that's what it's like. Yes, this is hard to hear, and it's really good to hear too. Also, I hope that's helpful. Okay, so now using this framework, the StoryBrand framework, is this idea of using story as a sense-making device. So now that we've established this idea that our brain is mostly daydreaming and thinking about other things, right? And it's always looking to survive and thrive and conserve calories, and it needs to be about us in order for us to listen. There's just a very limited amount of information in a given time that you can communicate. And so it's kind of like our brains are stuck on dial-up. Over time, our brains can retain and understand and remember a ton of information. But the real limitation is speed. It's like the bandwidth of how much information can come through. What's the reason why it's so powerful to use story? Story as this is supposed to be sense. Sorry, typo. Story is a sense-making device, right? Meaning that you can bundle more information at once if you're using the framework of a story. It'll start making sense as we go through this. You guys have all seen this, especially in movies, in books, for a long, long time. We're going to talk about the 7 elements that are in every single good story. So if we look at the movies, you go to the movie for 2.5 hours and your brain won't daydream once. It's almost as if a story hijacks the brain. And it's a method for communicating an amazing amount of information really quickly. And so we want to use this device to help tell the story of how we fit into our customer's story, right? So that they want to do business with us. So as I walk through these 7 elements, you're going to recognize them both in the movies and in your own business, all right? So number 1, it needs a character that wants something, right? And the 2 biggest mistakes we make here is that it's too vague. Our website specifically is not clear who the character is and what do they want. The other big mistake, so like here, this doesn't make, I go to the site, your journey starts here. Who, what, like what your mission, like it doesn't make any sense. I don't know who this is for. Is this for me? And then the other big mistake we make is it's just too much, especially when we've had a website for a long time. So this is the kind of a combination here, a mocked up of the mistakes I see a lot of photographers make. We love having our logo super big. People love their logo. I get it. It's like creative, but this is even in the design world a joke that designers make, because everybody's like, hey, the client will always be like, hey, can I get the logo bigger? I like it, but the logo be bigger, right? We always like to make it about us because we're so proud of it. It's like our baby. We want to show it off. Nobody cares about your logo. And then, guys, other photographers understand these awards we're winning, but our clients have no idea. If you've won awards, congratulations. I think it's a great way to put yourself out there to get feedback on your work. I'm not minimizing the act of getting an award and how hard you've worked. The reality is strangers don't care. You winning an award is about you, not about them. If you've got awards, put them in your footer at the very, very, very last thing you mention, okay? Do not lead with awards. The other big mistake is we're like, oh, social media, or SEO. We got to rank. So we got to use these ranking words like Twin Cities, premier portrait photographer. What? Who cares? It doesn't matter to whoever's visiting this website. And then making them choose. This is a hard problem I'll talk more about later. This challenge of so many of us doing multiple genres and trying to market all of them at once. When we market all of them, a lot of times it's too many bowling balls for a visitor to understand, to make them choose the journey they're supposed to be on. So here's a simplified version. What if we take all of that noise away? The logo's nice and tiny. It's one single genre at a time. It's your day. You deserve to enjoy it. Okay, within a second, can you notice the difference? How does this make this? How do you feel based on putting yourself in a stranger's shoes on your website? See the difference there, guys? It's speaking directly to your character, who is your client, and what it is they want. They want to enjoy their day. At a wedding, a bride, they want to enjoy their day. Does a high school senior care about this message? No. Does a pet owner care about? Nope, they don't. That's okay. You're choosing who you're going to talk to, because if you don't choose, you're talking to nobody, right? You've got to figure out who your character is. Another version is to focus on, we're going to talk about the problems and things you solve. Wedding portraits you're proud to hang on the wall. If all of a sudden you're attracting people that know they want their pictures, their wedding portraits hanging on the wall, now you're attracting the right types of clients from the beginning, all right? Again, Megan DePiro, look your best every time. She does a great job of, I think that when I talk about whether or not to showcase multiple genres, it's a lot of work. And Megan added multiple genres later after she really solidified her brand recognition in just a couple. But she knows her client, what's really common across all of her genres is the character. It's a successful, high-end female, like a woman who wants to look best every time in her headshot, with her family portraits, in her glamour portraits, and I also want to buy some good pictures for my high school senior student that I can trust, right? She's still speaking to the same character in this story. And it's said very clearly, look your best every time, all right? So that's StoryBrand marketing principle number 1. It's about your client's story, not yours, about what their story and what they want, all right? We need to lead with that. All right. Let's see. So let me see if I can share this one here. I want to see. Okay. So you said hit the nail on the head. I've had a website for over 15 years, over 40 pages of content I've got to streamline. Thank you so much for acknowledging that. I love the participation. I'm going to talk about, I've got some examples for a senior photographer, Samantha. Stay tuned. Keep those comments coming, guys. I really appreciate it. And it's going to make today that much more helpful for you. Okay, so let's move on to the next part in the framework. And your character has a problem, all right? If we look at movies for a second, several taken, there's so many action movies especially, all of them have this lead character who has a problem. His daughter's been kidnapped, right? That's an instantly compelling story. If right away in the first 15 minutes, his daughter is like, oh, nope, sorry, Dad, I was just out shopping. No worries, it's fine. But still come over to London and hang out. No, there's no problem. The problem's solved the story's over, all right? We need to focus on our clients' problems. So listen to how Megan talks about the client's problem. We know how hard it is to trust that you found the right choice to make you look your best. So the problem is finding a photographer you trust, or feeling awkward in front of the camera. It's scary to be in front of the camera, right? For high school seniors, senior portraits don't have to be awkward anymore. That's a problem, right? And it's really good when you're speaking to the parent who remembers how awkward senior portraits used to be, right? You're speaking to the problem that you solve. Now, remember, guys, we get this wrong a lot. We oftentimes will start with our solution. Instead of saying like, we make senior portraits that are super fun. Like that's later, you can state those kinds of messaging, but you want to start early on the page with the problem. Stating the problem before you mention that you have the medicine, it perks somebody's curiosity and they go, oh, you understand me. Okay, now I want to listen to you. I'm not going to listen to you if you're on the corner saying, hey, I've got a bunch of Advil. Who wants some Advil? But instead, you're like, hey, man, it is so frustrating to try to get some work done with a splitting headache. Or if you whatever that, everybody's like, oh yeah, if you articulate the problem that I have in a unique way, you've got my attention. Then I'm willing and I'm curious. You've like, I think you can help me survive and thrive. Okay, now I'm going to pay attention to you and see what your solution is. Okay, we can't lead with the solution. We want to start with the problem. If you stop talking about your client's problems, they stop paying attention to you. Graham, I'll talk about SEO in a little bit. Great question. All right, next step in the framework is the hero in the story meets a guide. So in the movies, we know this is Luke meeting Yoda or Luke meeting Obi-Wan, who can't solve his own problem himself. He needs somebody to show him the way in a compelling way, right? In the Hunger Games, it's Woody from Cheers showing Katniss the steps she needs to take in order to save the day, right? Guys, please hear this message. One of the most powerful messages of StoryBrand is we get this wrong. Even some of the people who have read StoryBrands think it's about telling your story. It's not. It's about telling your client's story. Your client is the hero and you are the guide. You need to be the guide in their story, okay? So when we showcase awards and all of this stuff, this has to be way down in the footer. Guys, do not lead with, hey, look at me. Look at how awesome I am. I've got 20 years of experience and I've done this and I've got this certification and all this stuff. That's the story of you being a hero, not about your clients being a hero, right? Your client is the hero of the story, not you or your brand, okay? I do. Do I dream it with a pen in hand? I so do. I love it. Okay. Again, this is about, it's not clear who the hero in this story is, right? Let me back up. I think I jumped ahead. Okay. No. Now, the guide's job is to give the hero a plan, a simple, compelling plan, right? I love it. Now, let's take a look at how complicated it's not clear when we go to this page what's next, right? They can love your work, they'll even inquire, but if it's not clear that it feels easy to do business with you, guys, we're not only being compared to other photographers, we're being compared to Amazon, right? The simplicity of doing business and services and shopping has gotten so drastically simple that is what our brains expect everywhere. We don't have the attention span, especially online, to figure out what the next step is. Sending people a PDF of all of our products and prices and sizes and details. Nope, too much noise. I'm conserving calories. I'm out. Not because they don't like you and your photography, but because they don't want to spend the calories understanding what's next. It's too many bowling balls. So yes, like same with any other industry. Let's just stick to photography. So with photography, there's 30 plus steps, right? When it's the consult, there's ordering. There's so many things that you want to tell them. The more professional, the more experience you get, the more you want to show, like, look, I really take care of you, and there's a lot of things we handle. But that's too much. If people see that there's 30 steps to working with you, they're going to peace out and go find somebody that's easier. We need to simplify the 30 plus steps into a simple plan. Start the conversation, plan your dream shoot, enjoy your portraits forever. And this can be different for different genres, but you need a 1, 2, 3. How we help you look your best, an expert guided process, guided from start to finish, right? Seshu, you've got a great example of this on your website. I'll share at the end here. So number 4, your clients need an easy step-by-step plan to move forward, or they just won't. It needs to feel clear. Again, they will choose the photographer who feels the easiest to work with versus before they'll work with an amazingly talented photographer that feels complicated, right? All right, then the guide gives them a plan and calls them to action, right? A very clear next step. What's the next step? When we work with photographers in building their pricing guides, you want your next call to action to be clear and safe. So a couple things to keep in mind. Mistakes we make is a lot of times we have too many calls to action. Again, too many is one of the big mistakes we make. It's either too vague or too many, right? It's either not clear about what are we supposed to do next, or it's too much. You want to have a singular, clear next step. To book now, sometimes if you're doing headshots and it's lower volume or high volume and you've got a good proven process, I can see the reason to having a book now button. But oftentimes clients aren't ready. That's too much. They don't have enough trust yet to book, to hire. But they maybe are ready to schedule a call. So we can have buttons like schedule a call or let's chat. This guide is designed to be a starting point. The best next step is to jump on a quick phone call so we can better get to know you. We can answer your questions. Use the link below to schedule a stress-free phone consultation. So versus our contact pages like this, too much too soon. They're not ready to give you that much information, all right? So I highly recommend, we'll talk about this at the end, is your website's number one job is to collect leads. So we want to give them a really compelling reason to enter in their email address. That is the safest, clearest next step because most people on your website aren't ready to book yet. The people that fill this out, they've probably been to your website dozens of times, probably already been referred a few times by some friends. So they already know, like, and trust you and they're ready to book. That's when they fill this out. The beauty of having a lead generator and email campaign is that your website's job is only to capture the email address, that safe, clearest, simplest next step. All right. So unless you clearly call people to action, they won't take action. And you want to keep calling people to action with every step of your funnel. So in our pricing inquiry funnel we build for people, first it's enter, like, you want tips in our pricing, give us your email. All right. And once we have that, it's all right, check out our pricing and schedule a call. And then as soon as you're on the call, then you're calling them to action to put a down payment on, right? There's all of these little tiny steps, but we're only making sure to talk about the right, smallest, simplest next step at each stage of this funnel. All right. Finally, you want to share, to really make it compelling, you want to tell the story of your hero, of your potential client, and how their world can result in success, right? What's at stake here? Portraits you are proud to hang on your walls. There's so many reasons to show mock-ups of your work if that's what you're trying to create. But this is another reason, is it shows the success. I've shared people having video of the client's reaction when you go and deliver and install artwork in a client's home and you take pictures of their reaction, or you just set up a cell phone and show the reaction of them looking at their images for the first time, opening their books, looking at their products for the first time, that is what you sell. And that creates an amazing vision of success, of what happens when other heroes work with you, right? So you want to show that happy ending. Clients want you to cast a vision of what their lives can look like if they hire you. They want to envision what it's going to look like with gorgeous artwork hanging in their wall. So show it to them. Show them mock-ups, right? And then finally, you can make this a little compelling. You don't want to get too fear-mongery about this, but you can speak to some of the common issues, right? Like what's at stake to make this real, the cost of not working with you, saying, look, your portraits belong on the wall, not lost in a thumb drive. That's common, right? Another one to lean into with family portraits is your kids are going to want family photos with you in them. Like lean into the fact that you know that a parent who's shopping for family portraits has tons of pictures of their family on their phone, but none of them that they're actually in. So that's the failure that you help them avoid. All right, so if there are no consequences for not doing business with you, then there's no reason to do business with you, all right? There needs to be consequences too. So remember, guys, when we wrap this all together, all of these 7 little points that can be on your website, it allows you to communicate more bowling balls, right? Because you're wrapping it in this story that your client is in. It's their journey and you're helping guide them along this journey. So we start with what do our customers want? What are our customers' external, internal, and philosophical problems? What are they struggling with? Remember, guys, you solve problems, but what are those problems? Let's talk about it for a second. So headshots. The problems are it's awkward. I hate scheduling time. It takes too much time. I don't know what to wear. So you can lean into those problems, right? Or you're losing, you're not getting your promotion, or people aren't hiring you for the job you're applying for because of your bad LinkedIn photo. Like all of these, or your headshot feels stuffy or old or unprofessional. Let's do high school seniors. We talked about that one, just leaning into like trusting that you're going to get pictures that both the senior thinks are cool and wants to share, and they're good enough and tasteful and timeless enough that you can print them and hang them on a wall for grandma, right? You want to balance that. Let's do weddings is about helping them manage their day. Like the photographer has this great opportunity to be a guide, not just in the photography journey, but the journey of the whole day. Because you're the expert of weddings. You can help them plan and organize and structure and refer them to other vendors that you trust. You can really be the guide in so many ways as a wedding photographer. So then we positioned our brand as the guide. Remember, you are the guide. Have we created a clear plan? Is it easy? Does it feel easy to do business with you with a simple 1, 2, 3? Even if we know, guys, we internally know there's 30 steps, right? But we can summarize when we first introduce people to the plan. It makes it feel really easy. Lori, thank you so much. That means a lot. So let's see. How about newborns and children? Tracy, I would say capturing, leaning into the problem is timing, knowing how to do it safely. I think safety is a big one. Understanding how to get the picture that you really want. Decorating, like what are we going to decorate in the nursery? I think it's soothing. I think as newborn photographers, you guys are vastly experts at soothing babies and knowing what to do and how to prepare a session so that you can actually get a couple moments of an infant looking calm and sleepy. Like there's a lot that goes into it, and you're the expert. So I think the parent has all kinds of fear about Am I doing this right? Is my baby going to behave? How do I prepare? So knowing that you have the problem is trusting the photographer, right, to handle it. Hope that helps. Branding photography for Doug. Branding photography is, let's see. The problem there is you don't have enough content to share on social, right? Your brand is not communicating the authenticity of who you really are. If I don't have good, like a variety of pictures of myself to use throughout my marketing as somebody who values their personal brand, then it's like I don't have enough relevant information that really shows who I am, right? Or that really resonates and relates to my target client. Another idea is showing personal brand clients the variety of ways they can inspire. Like they don't know what to do, right? They don't know how to use their brand photos, inspiring them with cool mock-ups of images on a billboard, on websites, on like what do they call those realtor puts all their pictures on the chairs of the bus stop stations, right? Okay. So finally, you want to make sure have we helped our hero imagine how their life can be better, right? How can you improve their life? And have you identified the consequences for them avoiding working with you? You can use this framework to help you avoid confusing, right? So much of our marketing, if we need to always be remembering, if we confuse, we lose, all right? So one of the things that I think somebody mentioned earlier is we're building our websites with years of experience. Many of you have been in business. Give me a quick number. I want to see on here. How many years have you guys had a website? Just type in the number. Is it 5 years, 8 years? What happens is we look to other photographers and we think about our past customers. And the problem with thinking about past customers is we can't talk to them. We can't talk to strangers the way we talk to past customers, right? You just get done with a shoot and everything goes great, but they didn't read the fine print. So you're like, okay, I got to make sure everybody knows before they book a session with me, they need to know this, and this. So we go add it to our website. And then we're like, I'm going to add this genre because people want this genre too. I'm going to add this one too. And so didn't know that I did this. So I'm going to add that. Guys, if your goal is to convince people to trust you, that you're worth talking to, it's so much easier to do if you're just showing one niche. And once you build the trust, yes, you will have past customers reaching out to you and saying, hey, can you do pictures of my daughter's high school senior portraits? Thanks for the amazing headshots. Do you also do families? Like whatever it is you're building trust with, that's awesome. You don't have to remind people that you offer these other services on your website. You can do that on social. You can do that with landing pages, with hitting pages, with different blog posts, or with an email sequence. Where like going into the fall, you can have a family mini session to all of your clients, whether it's wedding, whatever it is. You can say, hey, reminder, I also do family portraits. But the problem is when we go backwards and we say, oh crap, my clients don't know that I shoot family sessions for the holidays. And then you add it to your website as if you can like educate people who already came through. But all we're doing when we add more stuff to our website is we're now making it harder for strangers to choose you for the thing you want to be known for, right? Karen, are women over 40 too niched? Nope, I think that's fine. The more specific, the better. Let's see. So now let me jump in. I'm going to start doing some website reviews with the remainder time. Reminder, a lot of you guys ranked it low, so thank you so much for sharing. Before I go into this, I want to share one more kind of emotional story about how important words are. And as I go to kind of give you guys some feedback, I want to like lessen the blow. because I know how hard it is, right? So we now know that pretty, it just doesn't work, right? Yes, great, you can get something pretty. But here's what I've realized is there's this growing expectation, this growing myth that as entrepreneurs and the internet, that's all you need and you can do it all yourself. And we're bombarded with these messages over and over again that just compound to make us feel inadequate and insecure and like failures because we look around and there's all these examples of people doing everything themselves. I promise you the most successful photographers I know have a team. Megan DePiro hired a team to build her website, right? Really successful photographers do not do this themselves. Yes, there are amazing simple tools out there that make it easy to make things that are pretty, but they don't make it easy for you to build and to write the words on your website that actually matter, okay? People book only after they read words that make them want to book. So here's one, I highly recommend this if anybody's listened to the Tim Ferriss podcast, you know he goes on for hours. I only have time for a few of them, but the Jerry Seinfeld interview is amazing. And there's this nugget that has been sticking with me for months now. I've been sharing it with all my friends. When talking about how writing, developing the discipline of being a writer was so vital to his success as a comedian, and then later his TV show, the most successful TV show ever, or comedy at least. So when talking to his now college daughter, he says, look, I was explaining to my daughter this. She was frustrated that writing is so difficult because no one told her that it's the most difficult thing in the world. The most difficult thing in the world is to write. Writing is so hard. People tell you to write like you can just do it. You're supposed to be able to do it. Nobody can do it. It's impossible. The greatest people in the world can't do it. What we're trying to summon within your brain and your spirit to create something onto a blank page, it's not easy, all right? So this is the point I want you to hear. If you're going to do it, you should first be told what you're attempting to do is incredibly difficult. One of the most difficult things there is. And he goes on to say, you've got to time block yourself. It's incredibly exhausting. Pick a time of day for 30 minutes or for 45 minutes to work on the words on your website. You can't just sit down for a whole day and try to do this. You will exhaust yourself and it'll just be defeating, right? Okay, I hope that resonates, guys. So here that we'll wrap up with ways that you can work with me and my team going forward to help you with this. I got some really exciting new things coming. You can even go to clarifyyourmessage.com and hire another certified guide also in your town if you want to work with them. I'll be transparent and say that most guides start at about $2,000 for the first kind of beginning, just to get a brand script from them, and then to get a website is probably going to be another couple, $2,000 to $3,000. And for depending on your business, that's absolutely worth it. Okay, if it's not, stay tuned. We here at Sticky are working on something pretty special that's a more cost-effective way to get started with a StoryBrand site. I can't share too much more yet. Sorry for the suspense. Okay, now let's review. Let's review some of your websites. All right. So some of the mistakes I also saw from a design aspect in a lot of the ones I looked at. You guys, you really want to avoid putting text on images. Okay. You run the risk of that text. It's not going to scale right. Okay. It might look good on one device. And I know that it's your comfort zone. It's easier for you to design images and text in Photoshop because you're an expert at that. But the problem is that image is going to get squished and sized and positioned all over the place, and it's not going to be legible. You want to use the text properties, a text field in HTML, and a responsive site will position those words where they need to be based on the device it's being looked at, okay? So that's a very common mistake that I really urge photographers to break the habit of. The other one is using some of these new features, and a lot of websites have, where it's like a carousel or a flashing kind of transition of images. Almost all of the time I see it, it's too fast. you see it and you can read it really fast because you've looked at your website dozens and dozens of times. Your first impression, if you are having a carousel, make that transition very slow, especially if it's a carousel somebody needs to read, right? There's some that I was looking at where you start reading the quote and then it switches to another quote. You're like, crap, there's no way I'm going to waste my calories again trying to read the next one because you're going to rip it out from underneath me before I can finish. And I continue to feel dumb and insignificant, so I'm going to check out, all right? So those are some of the big design mistakes that I see really, really commonly that I want photographers to work on. Okay, let me share my screen quick. Here we are. So Richard, if you're still here, I love you, buddy. And I know we're going to work on a site for you soon. But here's a perfect example of multiple genres. I get to the site and you don't have any words. I don't know, like there's a huge opportunity for a big header, and I scroll and there's just this big combination of all kinds of images from mostly maternity, but then, yeah, the children's stuff. And some of the glamour stuff, it doesn't speak to exactly the one specialty you're trying to stand out for. And then I have to use calories to figure this out. And all caps, it's hard to read up here. Maternity headshot guide, all of this stuff, it's just not immediately clear, all right? Let me check out what you have here. I love having before and afters. I think those are good to have because the images speak so much. All right. We want to be really careful of having text on a page, this much text in a chunk that's that small. Immediately our brain just goes, I don't have enough calories to read that, especially you haven't piqued my curiosity yet of why I should read it. Seshu, dude, congratulations. Looks like you either hired a guide or this is like straight, you guys are going to start recognizing this format. This is a StoryBrand kind of professional photography for prep schools, colleges, and universities in New England. Providing educational institutions branded marketing materials for publication, web, and social media. Okay, so that headline, I know. So it's now after reading it, your hero, like the character who wants something, are educational institutions. So I'm thinking more. This is written for SEO, I think. So you could have that hero, you can have that message somewhere else, or you can have that in your page description. But as a hero, I would think of something more like, let's capture what's unique about your school so you can tell your story, right? Tell the story of your school. Tell an authentic story of your school or something like that, right? Just boom, one sentence. You can have like universities in New England, blah, blah, blah. Like, I think that's an SEO tactic of mentioning the town or city. But then what you're doing is so well is breaking this down into simple bites. Having clear calls to action, documenting experience. Yeah. There's also, we're going to work on a course for doing about us sections. You want to use your about me or about us as a way to actually talk more about the client, right? There's a way to write an about us that's more about how telling your story as the guide of how you help. We love here at So-and-so Photography, we love working with our clients to not only have a blast on their session, capturing their true personality, but also walking them through the difficult challenge of choosing your favorite images and choosing what products and prints and wall art that look best for your home, right? Talking more, use that opportunity to talk more about their problems, their things, the way you are the guide in their story. Still resist the temptation to talk about you and your story, all right? Let's take a look at this one. So this brings up the tricky challenge that a lot of photographers face. And I think I'll address my recommendation here. Is this idea you need to have like a parent website that where people have to choose. They have to choose which character they are, or based on, am I headshot or lifestyle? Which one am I, right? I'll say this. It's easier from a marketing perspective, from a time and investment perspective. Like if you were to hire out all of your marketing to an ad agency or a marketing agency, it would be cheaper and easier for you to launch headshot photography, like to be known, like Posh Headshots, Posh Creative Headshots, right? .com. It'd be easier for you to launch that business and that marketing in another city, in 5 other cities with the same branding. That's why franchises are so popular and so successful. It's because you figure out the marketing that works and it'll work in another city. Trying to simultaneously get multiple genres working at once under one heading, one big brand, you're stacking the deck against you. So for those of you that do have multiple genres, I would say that is okay once you feel like you've hit escape velocity. Meaning like once you've hit success, a meaningful level of success where your marketing is kind of running and working and you've got consistent bookings and predictable kind of timing throughout the year. Once you've hit that, then you've bought yourself the margin and the time and the energy to then add another brand. And you can decide, is that a new domain? Is it a new everything? Or is it within this brand? You make your clients choose. That's where I think your business can be in a place to pull that off. But too often I see photographers trying to do all of it at once. Like I'm just going to throw a bunch of spaghetti at the wall. I love taking pictures of anything and everything. You choose. If I show you enough options, maybe there will be an option here for you. And that is not going to help you be successful in any one of those niches, especially if you don't have really strong momentum built in one. One more anecdote I like to share. One of my favorite photographers, Krista Miola in New York City. She's super well known. Her whole brand was around just boudoir. That's it. That's the only thing she showed on her website. So it was really easy for clients to know that they could trust her as a boudoir photographer. But she told me in a couple interviews, most of her revenue comes from family portraits. But she doesn't ever have to market the family portraits on her website. She just markets that with hidden landing pages, email marketing, and social media and other time-based things where she reaches out to people who already trust her, who've already hired her as a glamour or a boudoir photographer. Now once your clients trust you, you can go back to them and sell all kinds of other genres. But it's so much harder to get that person to trust you the first time when you're positioning yourself as a Jack or Jill of all trades. Okay, I hope that resonates. I know it's really hard. It feels like turning off a genre on your brand is like turning off a way to make money. But I promise you, in 10 years, I've never heard of that. I've only heard over and over and over again, if somebody decides to focus on one niche, that their overall sales and revenue goes up. And you're giving guys, you could spend 40 hours a week marketing any niche. Easily, you could pay somebody to work for 40 hours a week, full time, marketing one niche. So when you turn off a niche and you stop trying to market that niche, especially online, you're saving yourself a ton of headaches also. All right, let's see. Now so if I clicked through, here we go, to Hearth Posh Creative. Again, I think I talked about the awards here. Guys, we all know these awards. Congratulations, by the way, that's awesome. But your clients don't care. They don't know who Shoot and Share is. They don't understand why this is important. Maybe on the footer, like it shows a little bit of credibility, great. But then we scroll down and there's still great portraits, great work. The pet thing, I don't know if you're going towards families, maybe have that later. It's just not instantly. There's no big headline that's telling me what I want, like articulating the problem. So when I looked at this before, It looks like you're really leaning into this idea of like why in home. So let me help you out here. So let's see, top 5 reasons to choose in-home lifestyle photography for your family. So again, notice how we're all having to like work kind of hard to figure out what this is and why. So let's see, are fur babies kid friendly? Concern your 2-year-old won't sit still. Boom! Think your tween will only offer the stink eye? Not a problem. I'm like a snake charmer followed by there's little bigger ones around. So there's this line that Donald Miller says is like, we don't have to be cute in our marketing. Like clear and simple is better than being cute. So just say it right there. So like having a gorgeous family picture with a hero headline that just said, I can get your kids to sit still. Like I love entertaining your kids. I love capturing your family's best side. I love, like, don't worry about your kids sitting still. Like lean into that. From family perspective, I love asking all of my friends and my peers in my city here, and ask the moms and parents, why don't you guys get portraits every year? And they say, oh God, it's not even about the money. I'm terrified that my kids are going to be little craps all the time, right? It's embarrassing. So speak to that problem that you help them solve. And there's so much of this information is too much work. This can be on a landing page later. This can be in an email sequence later that starts to educate people of your process. And here there's all of this information, but there's no clear call to action either, right? What's the next step? Oh, contact. So remember, people aren't going to fill this out until they've already decided they want to work with you, right? You want to give them a way to opt into something simpler before. Here's an example I left open here for Katie. With sticky email, guys, we give you really simple ways to add a pop-up that offers value. Keep in touch. It's not clear how that is going to help me survive and thrive, right? We all are, maybe 5 years ago, we're like, don't miss our updates or get coupons or want to be notified of our seasonal specials. I don't like leaning into when your main lead magnet or lead generator is about saving money. You're going to have a list of email addresses of people that like saving money, right? So be careful about the lead magnet you use. Instead, you can say something like, hey, want to grab my 7 tips on how to soothe a newborn? Enter your email below and we'll send you our 2-week email crash course, right? That's a compelling reason on how you're going to help your clients survive and thrive. Gives them a reason to enter their email address. This doesn't. My guess is you're probably not getting a lot of emails in that form. Where love starts and never ends. Okay, full service photo shoot experience for women and those they love. That's vague. It doesn't really speak to the problem that you're serving and solving. When is the last time you did something for yourself? Bingo. That's a good one. One day your children will look for photographs of you. What will they find? Oh, another good one. That's a good bold headline you could have lower on the page that speaks to what happens if they don't work with you, right? Expecting. And we want to resist the copy. I have to rewrite a lot of my copy too, where I start with my or I. You want to start stuff with you. Just drop out the part that my aim is or my intention is. Like they can just all come out and just skip that and go straight to, like, you don't have to say my job. Just feel relaxed. Feel relaxed in front of the camera. Like we talked about Megan, look your best every time. It's not I make you look your best every time. It's like you will look your best every time, right? Let's see. So again, we start to talk about, like, my session fee is $250 and includes, and we start immediately jumping into too much. Remember, the goal of your website is to convince somebody to walk across the room and say hello, right? Notice how Megan's does this. How we help you look your best, an expert guided process from start to finish. 1, 2, 3, book your session or schedule a call. I think what a better CTA would be, because that's what I think she's actually having people do, is schedule a call. So I would recommend that. But here, it's not immediately clear. This doesn't feel simple. This is all information you can give people after they've already inquired or talked to you or requested a simplified pricing guide. All right, let me see if there's any here. Again, the combination of like pets and then newborn and maternity, it's jarring. And then couples boudoir, it almost feels like, oh, I just saw something I shouldn't have seen, right? If I'm shopping for something else and all of a sudden I see some of these genres, especially with boudoir, I love the boudoir genre. I think it's such an important, powerful, meaningful thing to offer. But you've got to be careful showing it next to other genres. It can be really off-putting and can cost you business from other customers. I think that's probably the first one that you really needs to have its own brand, its own website. Let's see. Let me see signatures. Okay. Oh, great. You're showing mock-ups. Start showing mock-ups on your homepage. I think is another good reminder to start attracting people to what you sell. This is just a lot of small text to have anywhere. Very rarely are people convinced that it's worth their time to read this much information. The way we help them. Signature collections of love. That's like a wasted headline, right? It doesn't really mean anything. I bet you there's a sentence in here that should be the headline. Use only the finest quality materials. Stand by our, including eye-catching. That's too many details. Our design consultants personally recommend the best size and fit and finish. Let's see. We like something of like we help you choose. Like we help you know what looks good where. Like we help you choose the best products for your house, right? Making it about them. I hope that helps. Okay. Let me see. Here's an example of something it's like the slides are refreshing too fast. I don't even have time to make sense of it. So that one's tricky. Intro video. This is a mistake I see a lot. It's a wasted piece of copy real estate. If any of you guys have video on your page, you want to have copy that sells the play button. You want to give them a compelling reason to watch your video, right? So say something like, watch the video, like click play to see whatever they're going to see how, like there's one testimonial, they're like, see why my Jane hired us 5 times, right? You want a compelling reason. There's something in this video that's worth them watching. And you want to talk about it in the copy that convinces them to press play. All right. Let's see. Without a doubt, 7 of the most talented. Okay. Let me see. I think that's it. Probably the most constructive I can get. So let me wrap up. We're over time. Let me wrap up with what I would like you guys to do next. So number 1, I don't have anything to sell today. We were working on something really awesome that's coming soon. I think you guys probably get a sense. We're going to be offering a service to help you create a StoryBrand website. I'm very excited about. If you're very interested in getting a StoryBrand website built along with you, please send me an email at nate@stickyalbums.com. Tell me about it. Tell me what resonated most about today's workshop and any questions, concerns you might have. And I'd love to help you out more. Watch for a survey when this is all done. I'm going to send you guys a survey later on today. That's just, I want to learn more about how this resonated, what you liked about today's presentation, what your mindset's at. How do you feel about getting this work done yourself versus hiring somebody to help, versus what website templates you want to use. I want to learn more about where you guys are and how we can best help. And for everybody that completes the survey, I'll enter you into a giveaway and I'll buy you a copy of Donald's new book, Marketing Made Simple. If you guys have been to my other webinars and you know that I've got another offer here. My team's also right now building a pricing inquiry funnel where we help you create forms that go on your website and send them to your pricing information and then invite them to get scheduled. We've had over 200 photographers we've built funnels for with tremendous results of just consistently filling photographers' calendars with consultations that you then talk to and then close and make a bunch of money from. So if you want to learn more about that funnel system that we can build for you, send me an email at nate@stickyalbums.com. Again, tell me what you liked about today and if you're interested in hiring my team to build a pricing inquiry funnel for you. And watch out for the survey, and you can get a chance to win the book. All right? This was so fun. Thank you so much, Linda. I appreciate it. Burnett Photography wants a website already, I'm sure. I love it. Yes, just hire us to do it for you. We're really excited. It's a really cool offering. My team is working really, really hard on it, but I don't want to tease too much until it's done. So early July is where we're hoping. Amy, thanks for being here. I appreciate it. Audrey, thank you. Amy, thank you. Linda, thank you. Guys, while you're still here, let me know too in the comments, what was your best takeaway? As before you sign off, tell me what your best favorite takeaway was from today's presentation. Lori, you're the best. Thank you. Richard, we know we're going to help you out, buddy. Don't worry about it. Maddie, thank you so much. This was fun. I'm excited. I'm going to be doing this. If anybody joined late, I'm sorry that the recording can't stay up, but I'm going to be doing this presentation several times. I'm just going to practice. This is my first time going through, so I want to polish this up, and I want to do it on a regular basis. Every time I read it, every time I deliver it, the lessons kind of sink in even better for me too. Karen says the main goal of a website is to get new insight. Awesome. The main goal, yes, to get somebody to come across the room and say hello. That's it, right? So when I think it's really important to kind of lower the bar a little bit to be more realistic about what you can accomplish. And it's daunting to have to build a website that does everything for you, right? But if you think about it, a one-page website with 7 sections that touch on each of these different parts of the framework we talked about today, and then offer a really simple lead generator. It's all about convincing somebody that you are worth talking to. That is a lot easier. You don't have to worry about convincing somebody to book with you until you've got them on the phone, right? You do that in your sleep. You can do that really easily. So I want to help you do what you do best and have your online marketing kind of fill up your calendar with those consultations. Tracy says, I need to focus on one, not many. Congratulations, Tracy. That is a hard thing to accept, but I promise you, please come back, send me an email. If for some reason you're having challenges or it doesn't pan out, every single time I've coached a photographer to focus on one genre, I've only heard good stories after. Jolanta says, I read the book and your summary geared towards photographer especially. Thank you so much. I just want a simple way to build my funnel with my website. Totally. Awesome. All right, I'm going to take off, guys. Have an awesome weekend. Please watch for my survey later today. If anybody wants to watch my workshop about getting my team to build a funnel for you, let me know. Send me an email and say I want to watch that workshop too. Margaret, getting the phone to ring is the biggest challenge. I get it. The built for you pricing inquiry funnel, we call it the booking and sales booster system. It's designed for that, to get people to schedule time on your calendar. So let me know if you want that workshop as well. Nancy says, I dislike, and so do my clients, talking on the phone. I'm better with email. I think that's great. I get that. I promise you that when prepared, I think the problem with phone calls, number one is they're an interruption, right? We so rarely call a friend out of the blue, right? We'll text message a friend first to see like, is now a good time to chat? So solving for that first thing of planning it on your calendar, yet letting your strangers choose a time on your calendar when they're ready to talk to you, that I think is 90% of the issue, is taking away the interruption, the intrusion of it all. But when the other piece is having to defend yourself on the phone and having to explain too much of your prices. In our booking and sales booster program, we build a bunch of emails and a pricing guide that educates people before they get on the phone with you. So you're already delivering and setting that baseline expectation that like our prices start here, average people invest in this, and here's an example of how easy it is. Once people have seen that, it makes the phone call so much easier, where you can just immediately get into asking questions. Nancy, I'll give you this one last piece of advice. Whenever we're doing anything scary, in those first couple minutes, our fight or flight mechanism is kind of kicking in, and we're not sure what to say, like whether it's on stage or on the phone. And it takes our brain a minute to realize that, like, oh, this isn't a tiger that's going to kill me, or I'm not stepping in front of a bus. Even though my brain thinks I'm going to die, it's not actually going to die. So it takes a minute or two for that fight or flight mechanism to calm down. The best thing to do to buy yourself those 2 minutes on the phone call is to figure out a really good set of questions that you can ask to, again, make the phone call about learning about their story. Say, oh, hey, thank you so much for calling and making time. Really excited to learn more about you. Tell me a little bit about your child. If it's a family photography, tell me a little bit about your high school senior. Tell me about your spouse. How did you guys meet? Like, find a hook question that you know your clients love talking about, and say, oh, tell me a little bit about what you were looking for, what kind of portraits you like or resonate with you, or how important is getting photos of your day. Like, pick all of those questions. Don't ask what's your budget, but give them something that you know they like talking about, and your fight or flight mechanism will immediately go away. It'll just kind of melt away, and you'll go back into just being a human, being a helper, being a guide, and help them go through that process. Jolenta is interested in the funnel workshop. Awesome. I will send me an email to Nate@Sticky Albums, and I'll send you the link to watch it. How to learn more from my team. Awesome. All right, I'm gonna boogie. My kids left me alone for the whole time. I'm impressed. I hope you guys are doing well. Have an awesome weekend, and stay tuned for more exciting things from Sticky. All right. I'm glad that helped, Nancy. Cool. You guys have a good one. Take care.